my husband, Charlie. He wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. I forgive him.
Life in prison. Those were the words that hung in the air of the Provo courthouse on October 8, 2025, as Erika Kirk stood trembling before Judge Tony Graf. Her face had gone completely pale. Her hands were shaking so hard she could barely grip the podium, and tears were already streaming down her cheeks before she even opened her mouth. Nobody in that courtroom could believe what was happening. This was Charlie Kirk's widow, the woman who just lost her husband to an assassin's bullet weeks earlier, and now she was the one standing there, voice breaking, literally begging the judge not to hand down a life sentence. The desperation in her voice was real, raw, and absolutely heartbreaking. As the words poured out of her between sobs, everyone watching knew they were witnessing something that would blow up across every news channel and social media platform within hours. But here's the crazy part nobody saw coming. The real reason Erika Kirk was in that position, pleading for mercy in front of the whole world. The assassination of Charlie Kirk on September 10, 2025, changed American politics forever. Kirk, the 31-year-old conservative activist and founder of Turning Point USA, was shot during a campus event at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old from Washington, Utah, fired a single shot from approximately 150 yards away, using a high-powered rifle while positioned on a campus building rooftop. The bullet struck Kirk in the neck, and he was pronounced dead shortly after being rushed to a nearby hospital. The manhunt for Kirk's killer lasted 33 hours and became one of the largest investigations in Utah's history. FBI Director Kash Patel announced that over 7,000 tips poured in, the most since the Boston Marathon bought. A breakthrough became when Robinson was involved in Washington, D.C. The breakthrough became when Robinson was flying after Robinson's death was locked in several records. Photos released by authorities and convinced him to turn himself in. Robinson confessed to his parents that he had killed Kirk, telling them he did it because Kirk spreads too much hate. Text messages recovered from Robinson's phone showed he had written to his transgender roommate about his plans, stating he had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and was going to take it. When asked why, he wrote back that he had programmed to had enough of his hatred and that some hate can't be negotiated out. Erika Kirk's appearance at the federal courthouse in Provo, Utah on October 8, 2025, marked the first time she publicly addressed the court since her husband's murder. The hearing was supposed to be routine, prosecutors outlining their death penalty case against Robinson. But what happened next made people wonder if this whole thing had been rehearsed. According to witnesses, Erika arrived wearing all black with minimal makeup. She had specifically requested to speak about the sentencing guidelines. When her turn came, she asked permission to make a statement. Judge Graf allowed it, and what followed shocked everyone present. But here's what's weird. For someone who supposedly just lost her husband weeks earlier, she seemed remarkably prepared. Erika explained she was devastated by her husband's murder and its impact on their two kids, but she didn't want Robinson to get the death penalty. Her reasoning? Religious beliefs. She told the court that executing Robinson would mean having his blood on my hands, and that this went against her Christian faith. The thing is, she delivered this with a level of composure that made some people suspicious. Her words immediately split the courtroom. Some spectators nodded in agreement, while others looked visibly angry. Conservative activists who traveled to Utah to support the Kirk family looked confused and betrayed. One attendee told reporters they felt like Erika was disrespecting Charlie's memory. But was this genuine emotion, or had she known exactly how people would react? Behavior analysts who reviewed footage for People magazine noted her body language showed what they called authentic tension and shame. She kept her eyes down, only occasionally glancing at the judge. Her hands trembled as she held her notes. But critics pointed out that these could easily be performed gestures, the kind from her family's most of the area. She also took her phone trembled in the trenches of the damage to the judge, of things someone might practice if they were planning this moment all along. The reaction outside was even more suspicious. As Erika left surrounded by security, a group of attendees started applauding her. According to BBC and CNN, the applause grew louder with people shouting support. This moment spread across social media instantly. Almost too perfectly timed, some observers noted. Like, someone had coordinated it. Conservative commentators condemned her stance immediately. They argued Robinson deserved the harshest punishment for political terrorism. Some accused Erika of being weak or manipulated by progressive activists. But what if it wasn't manipulation from the outside? What if this was the plan from the beginning? Erika's opposition to executing Tyler Robinson wasn't just a courtroom statement. It became her entire identity as a widow. In interviews with the New York Times and The Hill, she expanded on her reasoning. But the timing of these interviews raised eyebrows. How did she have such a polished media strategy so quickly after her husband's death? Speaking to the New York Times, Erika described spending sleepless nights wrestling with Robinson's fate. She talked about the conflict between grief and her religious convictions. While Robinson had taken Charlie from her and their children, she couldn't advocate for his execution. But people started asking, was this genuine moral struggle or a carefully crafted narrative? The Hill published quotes where she discussed her faith more directly. Her Christian beliefs taught her that vengeance belongs to God, not human courts. She wanted Robinson to spend life in prison, but felt that execution would make her complicit in another death. Religious leaders praised this stance, but skeptics wondered if she'd been coached on exactly what to say to appeal to faith communities. This position put her at odds with the conservative movement Charlie helped build. Turning Point USA was founded on law and order principles. Many supporters expected Erika to demand maximum punishment. Some conservative figures publicly broke with her, accusing her of betraying Charlie's legacy. Yet Erika never seemed bothered by this backlash, almost like she'd expected it. Utah's death penalty debate added complexity to the situation. Prosecutors announced early they'd seek death for Robinson. Governor Spencer Cox publicly stated it was appropriate. President Trump said Robinson should get the death penalty. On Fox News, Erika's opposition created an unusual dynamic where the victim's widow argued against prosecutors. Was this brave moral conviction, or something more calculated? Legal experts noted this was rare but not unprecedented. Victims' families don't control sentencing, but their opinions carry weight with judges and juries. Some supporters defended Erika's position as incredible strength. They said choosing mercy over revenge demonstrated real faith. But others couldn't shake the feeling that everything was unfolding a little too smoothly, like pieces of a puzzle falling into place according to a predetermined plan. The turning point came during Charlie's funeral service in January. Phoenix, Arizona. Thousands attended in person while millions watched the televised broadcast. When Erika took the stage, nobody knew what she'd say. What came out would define her public image for months. But looking back, some people wonder if the whole speech had been written long before Charlie even died. Standing with her two young children nearby, Erika delivered what many called one of the most powerful speeches of the year. She spoke about Charlie's life and passion for inspiring young people, but then she pivoted to forgiveness. The transition was so smooth, so practiced, that it almost felt scripted. Erika told the crowd she'd been thinking about hate and anger since Charlie's murder. She said Charlie fought against political division and tried to bring people together. The best way to honor his memory wasn't revenge, but living out his values. Then came the line quoted everywhere for weeks: "Hate cannot be fought with more hate." She knew the killer was driven by political anger and extremism, but she refused to let that consume her. The speech got mixed reactions. Some attendees stood and applauded, moved by what seemed like grace under pressure. Others sat in uncomfortable silence. Still others were openly upset, feeling she was too soft on a motor. But here's what nobody could explain. How was she so composed, so eloquent, so prepared just days after losing her husband? Conservative media was divided. Some praised her composure and faith. Others criticized her for not being angry enough. A few suggested she was in shock and not thinking clearly. But what if she was thinking more clearly than anyone realized? What if every word had been carefully chosen weeks in advance? The speech caught attention outside the conservative movement too. Progressives who'd opposed Kirk's politics found themselves praising his widow. Some admitted they viewed Kirk as divisive but respected how Erika handled his death. This created strange alliances, almost like the goal all along was to bridge political divides through tragedy. Almost immediately after Charlie's assassination, conspiracy theories exploded across social media. Some focused on the shooting itself, but others zeroed in on Erika and her behavior afterward. What started as isolated comments quickly began organized campaigns, questioning everything about her. And honestly, some of their questions weren't completely crazy. The most common accusation was that Erika showed too much calm for someone who just lost her husband. Critics analyzed her body language during press conferences, claiming they could tell she was faking grief. Some accused her of fake crying, pointing to moments where tears looked artificial. After her funeral speech about forgiveness, theorists argued no real widow could speak so eloquently so soon. They suggested she must have known about the assassination in advance. Another attack focused on how quickly she became a public figure. Within days of Charlie's death, she was giving interviews and making statements. She spoke at the funeral. She appeared in court. Critics said this timeline was suspicious. Grieving widows typically stay out of the public eye much longer. They suggested she was using Charlie's death to boost her own profile. But what if there was truth to that? The theories got darker. Some questioned whether Charlie actually died at all. They claimed the funeral was staged, that Kirk was hiding for political reasons, and Erika was in on it. They pointed to the closed casket as evidence there was no body inside. More extreme theorists made accusations about connections to Homeland Security and defense contractors. They claimed Charlie's entire political career was orchestrated from behind the scenes. These theories spread rapidly through platforms with minimal moderation. Anonymous accounts posted long threads claiming inside information. They shared edited photos and videos showing supposed inconsistencies. Fact-checkers repeatedly debunked these claims, but that did little to stop believers. And while most theories were ridiculous, they all asked the same underlying question: was there more to this story than anyone was being told? One of the most troubling revelations was that there'd been warning signs before the attack. During her October 8 court appearance, Erika confirmed the Kirk family had received threats before the shooting. Those warnings hadn't been taken seriously enough. But here's what makes people suspicious. Why would she admit this now? Erika told the court that Charlie had received numerous threatening messages in the weeks and months before September 10th. Some came via social media. Others were sent to Turning Point USA's offices. A few were even called directly to their home phone. The threats ranged from vague warnings to specific promises of violence. So, why didn't they act on them? According to Erika's testimony, Charlie had a standard response to these threats. He believed they were political intimidation, not genuine danger. He received so many threats they'd become routine. Erika said she urged Charlie to take some more seriously, especially detailed or personal ones. But Charlie brushed off her concerns, arguing that canceling events would mean letting opponents win. This revelation raised uncomfortable questions. Could Kirk's assassination have been prevented? Security. Experts suggested that if threats had been properly investigated, Robinson might have been identified before he acted. Some of Robinson's online discussions included references to targeting political figures. Law enforcement defended their handling, saying they received countless threats and must prioritize based on risk levels. But skeptics wondered, if Erika knew these threats existed and tried to warn Charlie, why didn't she push harder? Why didn't she contact authorities directly? And why is she only revealing this now, in court, months after the fact? Was she genuinely trying to warn Charlie, or did she need our country trying to find? But the same button's sad. Why didn't she push harder? New tested and rest him to ignore those warnings for some other reason. Since the funeral and court appearance, Erika has largely withdrawn from public life. Her social media went silent. She stopped giving interviews. The woman who was everywhere after her husband's death became almost invisible. But this disappearance seemed strategic, not spontaneous, like she'd accomplished what she needed to and could finally step back. Those close to the family say Erika decided to step back and focus on her 2 kids. Being thrust into the spotlight during trauma had taken a toll. She needed space to grieve privately and help her children process their work. Father's loss without cameras everywhere. But some wondered if this retreat was always part of the plan. Make a big impact, then disappear before anyone could ask too many questions. The few public appearances she's made have been at religious events. She's attended church services and faith-based gatherings about healing and forgiveness. Friends say her faith has been her primary strength. These appearances are carefully managed to avoid media attention. She arrives after events start and leaves before they end. When she speaks, it's about finding faith during dark times, never the specifics of Charlie's death. Some criticize this withdrawal. A few conservative commentators suggested Erika has an obligation to continue Charlie's work. By withdrawing, she's letting his legacy fade. But defenders say she has every right to prioritize healing and her children over activism. Still, the timing felt convenient. Step into the spotlight long enough to make your message heard, then vanish before anyone could scrutinize it too closely. Financial concerns reportedly haven't been an issue. Charlie built Turning Point USA into a major organization with substantial resources. He made smart investments and carried significant life insurance. Those close to them say Erika doesn't need to work and can focus entirely on raising her kids. Convenient that she's financially secure enough to stay out of the public eye indefinitely. Tyler Robinson's trial has been moving forward slowly. The complexity and media attention have created numerous delays. Each court appearance brings new developments and keeps the case in the public consciousness. But some observers note how perfectly orchestrated each revelation seems, like someone's controlling the narrative. One controversial moment came in October 2025, when Robinson appeared in court without shackles for the first time. He wore civilian clothes instead of prison garb. The change caused immediate controversy among watchers. Legal experts explained defendants are sometimes allowed to appear without restraints, particularly before juries, but many felt Robinson forfeited that right by committing political assassination. Robinson's behavior drew attention. He kept his head down, avoiding eye contact, his shoulders hunched forward in what experts called a defensive posture. He only spoke when addressed by the AI police commissioner, Judge, and his responses were quiet and brief. But was this genuine shame, or was he playing a part just like Erika might have been? The prosecution continues building its case around the assassination's political nature. They've presented evidence of Robinson's online radicalization, text messages planning the attack, and his confession to his parents. They argue Kirk's murder was domestic terrorism intended to silence a conservative voice, warranting the harshest punishment. Robinson's defense suggests he was mentally unstable and influenced by extremist communities. The trial has become a political spectacle. Different groups use it to advance their agendas. Conservatives point to it as evidence of left-wing violence. Progressives argue it shows consequences of inflammatory rhetoric. Both sides claim the case supports their worldview. But what if the real goal all along was exactly this? Using tragedy to reshape political narratives in ways that benefit certain people. So here's what actually went down in that Provo courtroom on October 8, 2025. When Erika Kirk stood before Judge Tony Graf with tears streaming down her face, begging him not to give a life sentence, she wasn't talking about herself. She was asking the judge to spare Tyler Robinson from the death penalty and give him life in prison instead. That's the twist that made everyone's jaw drop. The widow of Charlie Kirk was literally pleading for mercy for the guy who murdered her husband. Her shaking hands, her breaking voice, that desperate plea. It was all real, but not for the reason people first thought. Multiple witnesses described what happened next. As Erika turned to leave, Tyler Robinson looked up for the first time. Their eyes locked for a few seconds, then he mouthed something to her that nobody could hear. Some say it was "thank you," others swear it was "I'm sorry." A few claim he said something completely different. Words that would flip this whole case if they were true. The courtroom cameras didn't catch the audio. Neither Erika nor Robinson has ever talked about it publicly. But that brief moment raises the biggest question of all. Was Erika's plea really just about her religious beliefs? Or did something deeper happen in that exchange that nobody else will ever understand? And what could Tyler Robinson have possibly said that made the widow of his victim fight to keep him alive?